All right, folks, welcome back to the NSE4 Journey. As you can tell, we are on a new section, section 2, right, where we discuss the Fortinet Security Fabric. Okay, we're going to talk about what it's like to go ahead and deploy it. I actually have a lab set up for you guys, which of course why I had to delay this afternoon, so I can go ahead and set that up for it. It takes a lot to go ahead and build it up, but it's all good. It's all good. We're going to talk about, extending the security fabric, right? And talk about what that looks like, right? Understanding, the topology and how you want to set it up. Because again, like I tell you guys, most vendors give you these devices, but you can do absolutely whatever you want, right? As long as you understand what's going on, right? And the purpose of us going over it is so that whenever you guys begin to deploy it, engineer, reverse engineer, your environments that may or may not utilize Fortinet FortiGates, that you can go ahead and take advantage of. You can take advantage of the Fortinet Security Fabric implementation. Okay, so let's go. Let's go ahead and roll through. Right. So some of the objectives we need to go ahead and tackle is to define what the Fortinet Security Fabric is, identify why the Security Fabric is required, and identify the Fortinet devices that participate in the Security Fabric, especially the essential ones. Okay. With doing all of this, right, you'll be able to understand, right, how all these, devices that participate in it. And Fortinet devices means 40 mail, 40 EDR, right? Anything outside of the FortiGate firewall, right? But it does include the FortiGate firewall, right? How to deploy it, but also how to prevent compromise to it, right? So you're going to learn all this within this chapter. Okay, let's keep going. So, what is Security Fabric, right? What it is it's a Fortinet enterprise solution, right, that enables holistic approach to network security, right? Right, and so the network landscape, right, being visible through a single console and all its network devices are integrated into a central managed and automated defense. That central managed and automated defense, right? It's talking about a device, right? And that being the firewall, right? The FortiGate. Okay. Not so much FortiManager. We're not talking about that, right? That fabric is built centered around the FortiGate. Okay. And all of the Fortinet devices, right, connect to this to build that fabric, right? Network access, right? NAS, right? Right? We have our cloud infrastructure. Maybe we got some appliances in the cloud, right, that we went ahead and spun up. We can go ahead and connect it to the fabric. Maybe we have applications, right? Fortinet applications. Maybe we and outside applications outside of Fortinet. Maybe we have a SOC, right, that entails a lot of devices, right? Maybe we have, like I told you guys, EDR. Maybe we have LAN and WAN. LAN and WLAN, right? We can go ahead and include all of this, all of the network devices within this fabric, right? And it's pretty easy, right? If Christian gets to a FortiGate and he can manage all of his devices from one device, it makes management that much easier to go ahead and manage these devices, right? And I'll show you guys, of course, whenever we do deploy it in the lab tomorrow, right? That you guys will see, how it is jumping from box to box, real simple, within a FortiGate, doing things in the CLI and, of course, in the GUI from jumping. I'm not sure if you guys know the concept of a jump box. It's basically what you'll be doing, right, within a security fabric. You'll get to the core FortiGate that's in the middle of the security fabric, and you can jump to all of these applications and manage it from there. Okay. So the thing about the security fabric is it has to make sure that it follows these 3 attributes, right? Right. One, we have to make sure it's broad, right? It provides, anyone that's doing network security, right? That's the admin of this network security, giving you visibility to the entire, attack surface, right? To better manage risk. Okay. That's one, right? It needs to be integrated. right? Because of course that's what that's what a fabric is. If you look at a dictionary, right? It provides a solution that reduces the complexity of supporting multiple point products, right? So maybe Christian doesn't, he has FortiMail. He has some things in Azure, right? Up in the cloud. Maybe he has FortiEDR. Maybe he has FortiMail, right? Him jumping to each box to go ahead and um, to go ahead and manage his networks is time consuming when he can just go to the core of his security fabric and manage it all from there, right? So it needs to be integrated for sure. Okay. Last but not least, right? Because we're entering a new age, it needs to be able to be automated. All right. Right. And so the security fabric, right, as long as everything is licensed, and I want to make sure I say that, right? FortiGuard Labs, right? FortiGuard Lab, it's going to make sure that it talks to all your Fortinet devices, right? And it sends that threat intelligence down, right, to all of the components that are connected to the security fabric, right? And it's going to come, and how it works from a technical standpoint, it's going to push, right, all those updates, right, all those signatures, right, that we've talked about in the previous section, right, to this core FortiGate within the security fabric. The security fabric is then going to go ahead and send it down to all of its downstream devices that it's managed, okay, that are part of the security fabric. Check in, right? It'll go ahead and have a checks and balances process where it makes sure, hey, are we updated? Are we good to go? Et cetera, right? And all of this is automated, right? Um, and including all of these different appliances, right? Having that security fabric, if an attack happens, right? The entire life cycle of an attack that's happening, it's fully automated to the point to where it's mitigated, it's caught, right? And right, you're being reported about it, right? And told about it after the attack is done, right? Now, of course, it'll be unrealistic for me to say, hey, implement this solution, you're perfectly fine. Absolutely not, right? But implementing the security fabric, and making sure it is following these three rules, right? Because that'll be go along with you deploying it and testing this, right? It'll be that much better, right? To go ahead and to manage your network security within your environment. Okay. And again, big thing that I want to say, it is not limited to just Fortinet appliances, devices, etc. Okay. Last but not least, again, we're entering a new age. So Fortinet, it says, of course, if you guys read your study guides as well, that there can be a fourth attribute that's added, which of course is the API, right? And of course, this is where it's talking about allowing for third-party management of devices. So what do I mean by that? Maybe you have your security fabric. Maybe you have on site, right? And Christian, we were talking about this last week. You have an on site logging server, right? And so you want it to be a part of your security fabric, right? You can get that API, connect to it, right? Do integration, right? Do some partner integration, right? And it'll go ahead and communicate with the Fortinet, right? With the Fortinet FortiGate and all the Fortinet devices within the security fabric. Okay. So that is possible. It is not limited. That's one thing a lot of people love about Fortinet because it's more open to work with third-party devices. Okay. Any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going. So, why the fabric? Right? Why has people been talking about getting the fabric, that and just implementing it, right? From a network security standpoint, right? If we look at the diagram, you guys can see, I'm not going to read what's off the screen. Let's just talk about this diagram here, right? In this diagram, does it look like we have full visibility of the network? We do not, right? There's some openings. There's some openings within our private network, right? There's probably even some openings within the cloud, right, that connect to our private network, right? So we need to make sure, right, that we connect to everything, even, you know, and being realistic nowadays is that most companies use multiple vendors. No company, and I can tell you this from multiple contracts that I had, is just going to implement just a fully Fortinet solution. There's going to be different vendors, right? You're going to have your Splunk, okay? You're going to have your different seam vendors. You're going to have your different you know, NAS vendors, right? You're going to have a lot of things, right? And there's different, right? And there's so much things that you would have to manage, right? That of course it using these different vendors, it keeps widening and widening and widening that attack surface, right? So how do we manage it, right? How do we manage it instead of logging into each of these devices, um, right? Managing different parts of the network, right? Per its role, right? How do we manage it, right? We can, but it's going to be hard, right? It's absolutely going to be hard, right? And so bringing in different things, you know, Security Fabric, bringing in things like API, right? API calls that you can go ahead and implement, which knocks off and tears down that barrier of, hey, it's different vendors. I can't work with it if it's not Fortinet. It tears that down, right? Um, and what that does, it widens the visibility of the entire network to your security fabric, right? So a lot of people implement it. Of course, previous jobs that I worked at, they implement the security fabric because, again, you're able to see your entire network. If deployed properly, you're able to see your entire network, right? And see it work as a fully network security solution to the point to where, again, an attack happens, right? It has that much more um, of a good percentage rate to go ahead and mitigate any attacks that happen, right? Automate the entire process, you know, shooting that notification down to the SOC or the NOC, right? And acting on it, right? Without any manual intervention whenever things like this happen. Okay. We know that today, right? A lot of you guys work in security as well, along with networks, right? Is that we know, right? Is that outside, you know, outside of the network, outside of the perimeter of a firewall, is no longer the the unsafe zone. Inside the network is the unsafe zone as well, right? Because we have things like IoT devices, okay, and plenty more things like that that increase the attack vector. So we need to make sure we're able to have visibility to the entire network, right? So the security fabric is one solution, right? That attacks everything, right? That's why it's, you know, they reference it has a holistic approach to security. Okay. Here are the different products, different devices as it pertains to Fortinet, right? That you can implement within your security fabric, right? And of course, to the top right, I'm not going to read out each one. That's insane. Um, but I just want you, you know, want you guys, of course, to look to the right. It doesn't matter if it's an appliance, the top right, you know, it doesn't matter if it's an appliance, VM, something in the cloud, if it's security as a service, right? It's Fortinet does offer that, or if it's just software. Any of these products, any of these models, right? They are able to be implemented within a security fabric. Okay. Sorry to get some water. So, what makes up a security fabric, right? So, at its core, right? At its core, right? If you just want to set up a small fabric, there needs to be a minimum of 2 FortiGates, and I want you guys to remember this for the exam. There needs to be a minimum of 2 FortiGates and a FortiAnalyzer that you deploy to first start out that security fabric, right? And of course, Fortinet recommends that to your fabric, you go ahead and add that visibility or control, right? You add FortiManager, right? 40AP, FortiSwitch, FortiClient, FortiSandbox, FortiMail, FortiWeb, FortiAI, right? Then, right, you add some other things, right? Third party devices, right? You can go ahead and integrate with, I know off the top of my head, you can integrate with Azure, you can integrate with AWS, a lot of things. So Splunk, right? You can integrate with all that. So it can be extended to other network security devices that are not Fortinet. Okay. So this is what makes up that security fabric. Okay. And of course, we are at the end of the introduction of the Fortinet Security Fabric, and us being at the end of it, you guys know that we always ended off of a, 2 questions, right? So as always, I'm going to ask you guys these 2 questions, and of course, it's either going to be A or B. So here's the first one. What is the Fortinet Security Fabric? Is it A, a Fortinet solution that enables communication and visibility among devices of your network? Or is it B, a device that can manage all of your firewalls?
A.
Okay, good stuff. Fortinet solution that enables communication and visibility among the devices of your network. Absolutely. Question 2. Which combination of devices must participate in the security fabric? Is it A, a FortiAnalyzer and 2 or more FortiGate devices, or B, a FortiMail and 2 or more FortiGate devices?
A. 2 FortiGate devices or more in FortiAnalyzer.
There we go. Absolutely. Okay. Well, guys, that is it. Tomorrow is going to be a long one. I can't lie, right?
Okay.
What we're going to do, just to give you guys a sneak peek, is we are going to deploy a security fabric. So if you can see my screen, I've already built the topology, right? But since we're coming off holiday, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a break, right? And I know theory is a lot and boring, but we need to get over it. So get some rest and come back fully rested tomorrow and shake out the weekend. And we're going to jump into deploying that security fabric. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Thank
All
you.
right, guys. You have a great night.
You
All
too.
right, sounds good. Take
Bye,
care,
guys.
guys. Bye.